Thank you for watching Scary Animal Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we release new episodes. Welcome back to Scary Animal Attacks. Today's episode takes us to the Southern Hemisphere nation of South Africa, specifically to a diver's dream location, False Bay. It is the home of amazing opportunities for participants in water sports like spearfishermen, scuba divers, snorkelers, and sports fishing. The waters are full of beautiful fish, dolphins, seals, and ocean plants like kelp. Sea fans decorate the ocean floor as waves alternately push and pull their massage on its visitors. Many vacationers soak in the sun on the beach but bask oblivious to the turmoil and terror just beneath the waves. On September 26, 2021, spearfishermen Jerome Petersen, Josua Joubert, and Vannithing were locals who regularly come to play in the bay. This day, the trio headed out to around a quarter of a mile off the shore near Miller's Point between Spanish Rock and Caravan Reef. These three friends are bonded by the activities they love and their mutual commitment to fitness. Back in Somerset West, 50-year-old Jerome and 40-year-old Josua are jiu-jitsu instructors full-time, and 24-year-old Cameron works as a lifeguard and EMS rescue swimmer with a company called SkyMed Rescue Helicopter Service. Each of these men are in peak physical condition, which will be a major factor later in our episode. The divers find a reef to start hunting fish from. Jerome took the initiative to lead the group and dived down and rested on the reef about 25 feet below the surface. As he was hunting around for fish to pursue, he felt a painful pressure on his calf muscle on his right leg. Realizing this had to be something biting him, he quickly turned his head and stared into the eyes of a huge leopard seal. Jerome hit it with his spear gun, and it let go of his leg. The bite drew blood, but wasn't anything too serious, but it quickly happened again. Then the seal bumped him with its nose very hard. This apparently was not a mistake. This seal was very upset and aggressive toward him, and he wasn't sure why. Jerome tried to swim away, but the seal continued to pursue him. Every several feet it would charge in quickly and bite him hard again and again. He was using an ankle-mounted device called a shark shield, which emits an electrical field to deter sharks. The seal continually attacked and bit at the antenna of the device. Jerome began to panic and swam quickly back to the surface and his partners. By the time he surfaced, he didn't have to explain what was going on, because the seal had started harassing his dive partners as well. Josua and Cameron spun circles while on lookout for the fast and elusive seal. It continually circled them as they floated together, and the divers briefly discussed what they should do. The seal continued to charge in randomly and bite each of the men as they floated. It quickly darted in and bit Cameron on the leg, in the same manner as it did Jerome, and then would circle a few times and do the same to Josua. The divers had cutting-edge spear guns, but were reluctant to shoot the seal, as it was so fast that they couldn't get a reliable shot. They didn't want to wound such a large creature and make it even more aggressive. They decided to start swimming toward the shore and away from the seal's sharp teeth. They focused on staying back to back and keeping a constant eye on the predator. While they were swimming, the seal darted in and bit off one of Joshua's dive flippers. Then it did the same to Cameron. The men's wounds were bleeding into the ocean, creating an invitation to sharks as well, and now they are limited at how quickly they can return to the shore without their flippers. Jerome's flippers came next as the seal bit one of them in two with a single snap of its jaws. It was too strong and aggressive for the men to keep constant track of and swim for their lives at the same time. Now all three men were without their swim flippers and limited in their ability to stay afloat and return to shore. The seal focused most of its ferocity on Jerome. It continually bit him hard, piercing his wetsuit and tearing his flesh. He had deep bites on his legs, hand, and arm by now. He realized it was bent on drowning him, as it would repeatedly pull him under, and even began dragging him out to sea at one point. He began to give up, and even stopped resisting it when it would bite into his flesh. He commented on the evil look in the seal's eyes while it was attacking him. The leopard seal then focused on Jerome's spear gun. It charged in, biting and bumping him with its nose. Then it bit onto his spear gun, and he punched it to make it release its grasp. It then bit into his hand, holding the diving knife, which forced him to drop his knife. It then pulled his spear gun from his grasp. Every time it came into attack, it would leave more bite wounds and gashes from its sharp teeth. No matter how quickly the men tried to get away, the seal would continually pursue them. Josua was using his spear gun to fend off the seal when it latched onto it and tore it from his grasp as well. Then the seal circled the men and dashed in and pulled Cameron's spear gun from his hand while he was swimming. It had now disarmed all three spearfishermen from the only weapons that they had, as well as removed their swim flippers, leaving them at the mercy of the waves and currents. The divers only had about 400 yards to swim back to shore and had made it about halfway by this point. Despite being in great physical condition, they were growing tired. Add in the bite wounds and trauma from being bumped by such a powerful animal, they were exhausted. Losing the battle with the seal meant losing their lives, so they had no choice but to persevere. Cameron and Joshua watched helplessly as the leopard seal separated Jerome by pulling him away from them. It put Jerome's entire head in its mouth at one point. It then darted around behind him and leapt out of the water and landed as it bit onto Jerome's head and pulled him underwater again. Jerome then uses a wave to wash himself upon a large rock about 50 yards from the shore. The seal jumped up on the rock with him and continued to attack him. He kicked it hard, but it had no effect on the giant predator. A subsequent wave knocked the seal off the rock while Jerome managed to stay on it. He dove off the rock and continued his effort to reach the safety of the shore. Typically after diving, the men would be able to swim their way back to shore in about 5 or 10 minutes of moderate swimming, depending on the currents and tides. While they were under the relentless attack of the leopard seal, they battled their way ashore for over 30 minutes. The men were so concerned about surviving, they didn't even consider taking photos or video of the seal. Bystanders on the shore watched as the commotion and yelling in the waves drew a growing crowd. The observers couldn't believe what they were seeing as the leopard seal continued the assault the entire way to shore. The men crawled ashore bleeding, panting, exhausted, and incredulous at what they just experienced. The divers attributed their tremendous fitness, 5mm diving suits, and their high-tech equipment to their survival. They've had run-ins previously with various wildlife, but have never experienced anything like this. Local marine authorities issued public warnings regarding interactions with the wildlife, but were at a loss to explain the aggression and persistence of the seal. The leopard seal is known to inhabit the waters and ice pack of Antarctica, but are sometimes found as far north as South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and Tasmania. Experts believe the seal may have been lost and desperate. It may have been a juvenile who didn't know how to properly behave in this new environment. Jerome indicated he would not dive again in the area, and would advise that no one else do so either. He acknowledged that the sea belongs to the sea creatures, and that diving in their environment has its own inherent risks. Thank you for watching Scary Animal Attacks. If you enjoyed this episode, please show us by subscribing to our channel and clicking on that alert button. Please like our videos as well and share them on your favorite social media platforms. Also remember, you are a valuable member of our human network, so please be careful out there, because you don't want to end up on an episode of Scary Animal Attacks.